Welcome back to Fiscally Fit. I'm here today with Miss Veronica from Wachovia, Wells Fargo Company, and we are talking about developing a game plan, your budget, your personal budget. We ended off talking about income, what's coming into your household, and but the next step is talking about expenses. But before we get there, we're talking about active versus passive a little bit there. Yes. And can you explain that just a little bit?
Well, we tend to only account for that active income. We know that that's what's being reported. And we will take those tips and we'll splurge on it, sometimes. Whereas to have a complete budget, we need to bring everything together. It is the only way that it will give us a clear picture of everything that's coming in, that income. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to, look at the tips or the interest from the savings account or that rental income as just extra money that I can do whatever I want to with it. We need to bring that into the budget as well.
Okay, then. Very, very important thing to do. Now, expenses. Now, we've had everybody pull the bills out, and hopefully you have your kids looking at the bills too so that they can understand what's going out of the house. We've looked at income, but expenses is about that outsource of money. And we've talked about the bills, but there's another part of the expenses that maybe get lost in the shuffle. And that's what we purchase for groceries, sometimes what we spend at the mall, and loans. Mm-hmm. Now, what are some things that maybe that we've looked at our bills and they may be stagnant? There's no way for us to move it. But there are some things that we could do with our loans to maybe give us some breathing room in our budget,
sure.
Correct?
We can have our payments deferred in some cases. If you have an installment loan or revolving credit card, you can work out with the company payment arrangements where you can have the payment as well as interest deferred. You could actually, on installment loans, car loans, you can actually change your pay date.
Okay.
So if it's working, if everything is coming due the beginning of the month and that's not, that income is not sufficient to cover that, to avoid late charges and over the limit fees, have that due date rearranged. And you would do that just by calling the company that you're paying that bill to. You can actually do it. It's an awesome thing to do for the budget.
Okay, so just some examples that maybe Wachovia has with helping alert people or keep them informed about when bills are due. Are there anything via online or?
With all of our accounts at Wachovia Wells Fargo Company, we offer free online banking and bill pay.
Okay.
Awesome system. You're able to check what has come out of the account. If you have direct deposit, what's going in. It gives you that paper trail that we talked about of literally writing it down and understanding what's coming in and what's going out. The bill pay option is available as well that will allow bills to go out at the prearranged date according to the client or the customer.
Okay. Now, when you add those various things such as bills and loans, those are the big things. But you have to also consider the small things. Shoes for kids. School time is just ended, but in a month and a half, school will start again. So everything from book bags, those things need to be accounted for. And you also need to leave what they would call maybe a miscellaneous grouping or funding. Come up with a percentage out of your overall expenses that you want to spend on miscellaneous. You also need to look at entertainment. How much money are you spending to go to the movies or go to Blockbuster? Those are some of the things that we forget about, but we definitely spend our money on.
Exactly.
I think we're all kind of guilty of.
We are so guilty of it because, you have this money and you're like, I'm going to treat myself. We all feel that way.
Exactly.
But, what happens when that rainy day comes? We really need to be prepared. So we really need to take a really good hard look at those extra expenditures that are coming out of the budget, coming out of the income. What's coming in, what's going out, and is it necessary? And I know I've had to. I've had to really pull back and assess the situation. Do I need to go to the movies? No, maybe I'll just stay home and watch, regular TV.
Exactly. Now that you've looked at your expenses and you know what your income is, you'll get a good picture of what your cash flow is. And cash flow is the money that is left over. Now, don't be afraid of this number. It might be a little small. And if it is, then that means you need to go back and look at ways to cut your expenses, correct?
Correct.
And then look at ways to maybe increase your income. Maybe consider a part-time job, or maybe taking up something from lawn care to just side hobbies that may possibly make you a little bit more money. But what would be the easiest way?
Well, ironically, and I've done it myself, if we just take a good hard look at the budget and what's coming in and what we're spending our monies on, we can realign the budget and we can get rid of probably, I would say, a good 25% of miscellaneous items that are not necessary.
25%?
At least 25%. Because some things, think about it. Do I buy lunch every day, or do I take a lunch? Am I buying groceries and going out to dinner, 2 or 3 times a week? I'm double spending.
Right, and being wasteful.
Exactly. So when we take a good hard look and write it all down, all of the activities that are happening within the budget, you'll start saying, we'll find ways that, I don't need to do this because I'm doing that. And then that will eliminate some of what we call wasteful spending.
Now, we're not saying don't spend money on good things and on fun things, but set aside time and prepare to spend your money on that. There's nothing wrong with cutting your expenses, but there's always room to put in your expenses entertainment. That way you're prepared to do it. You're prepared to spend $20 a week or $50 a week, whatever that works best for you and your family. But you still want cash flow. Now, what you do with your cash flow is all up to you. If you're looking right now at your expenses and you're looking at your revenue and you find out that you have a little bit of room in what you call cash flow, what do you want to do with it? That's the question that you really want to ask yourself. Or what are you doing with it? Is, I guess, the first question to ask, right? Yes. Or what are some suggestions that you've given people maybe at the bank where they're like, oh, I have a little bit of money here. What are the next steps?
Well, it depends on what time frame you're in the life cycles.
Okay.
So
explain that a little bit here.
Life cycles. If I'm right out of college and just starting a new job, or if I'm middle age, or if I'm close to retirement. So life cycles. If I'm right out of college, retirement is good. We want to prepare for that. Middle age, I may be starting a family. So want to prepare for that as well. And then retirement, I want to be physically fit to live as comfortable as I am now working at retirement.
Okay.
So what do I do with that extra money depends on what life cycle I'm in.
Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit more about life cycles when we come back. But just another get fit exercise. Play Monopoly with your kids. This might be an old school game, but it definitely teaches you a lot about money. Maybe even getting a piggy bank. They have some really great ones for a really inexpensive price now. And it's something that you can teach your 2-year-old how to pick up those pennies and put it in the bank so one day that they can save. Something that I used to do, me and my brother used to do when we were a kid, was we collected cans. Not as many out there as there used to be, but it's definitely a way to save up and store money. So those are some exercises that you may want to consider. So come back, check us out. We'll be talking more about life cycles and what you should do with your cash flow and hopefully some overflow. All right?
Fiscally Fit was brought to you by Wachovia Bank, a Wells Fargo Company, Eldorado Furniture, and Scholars Today, Leaders of Tomorrow.